Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. For most of us, buying a car is one of life's biggest expenses. So if you're in the market for a car, new or used, it's essential that you have reliable information from a trusted source. For today's Consumer Connection, we're calling on the Vermont Attorney General's Consumer Assistance Program at the University of Vermont. Specifically, we'll be talking about tips for buying your next car, whether it's brand new or new to you. Joining us via Zoom from the Consumer Assistance Program Office at UVM is the program's Assistant Director, Lisa Jensen. Good to have you with us again, Lisa.
Hi, Fran. It's nice to see you.
So prices for new and used cars have hit record highs, and this is a major expense that can pose significant economic challenges for anyone.
Absolutely. We are in a market right now where the demand is high and the supply is limited. And in Vermont, we live in a rural state. We know that we do have limited public transportation, and most of us need our cars to get to work, to take our kids to school and childcare, to get to healthcare appointments. It's an important purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk about first buying a new car. What are some of the important tips that you can share with consumers? What's at the top of the list?
Oh, top of the list, absolutely, is to get your financing in place before you go shopping. So stop at your local credit union or financial institution and get pre-approved and know how much you can afford.
Awesome. So pre-financing is right at the top, but then how do we know where to start negotiations, especially if I'm a first-time car buyer?
Oh, absolutely. It can be very intimidating. Do your research. Go to some trusted resources. When you are shopping for the vehicle, think about the discounts and incentives. Write the information down. And know that there's a law that requires all on new cars to have what's called the Monroney sticker. That sticker probably looks familiar to people. That has some really essential information: the manufacturer's suggested retail price, the fuel economy, warranty, the equipment, crash test results as well.
Well, and also not all purchases are the same. For instance, one buyer may have another vehicle to trade in. Another buyer might be able to make a larger down payment. What do we need to keep in mind regarding financing a new car?
Right. I think the most important thing is to keep the financing, the discounts, and your trade-in separate. And gather the information. Take your time before you make a decision.
So you have your trade-in, you have your financing, you have your discounts, all of those you really do keep separate. And
yes.
So there are a lot of reputable dealers from whom I can buy a car. How many should I visit before making a decision?
I think a good, estimate is 3. Shop around at 3 dealers. You can always call our office, the Consumer Assistance Program, if you're interested in any complaint history regarding a dealer or want additional information and tips on buying a car.
Okay, awesome. And then what about leasing a new vehicle? That always confuses me.
Yes, there is a lot to consider when leasing a vehicle. And Fran, I think we could take up the rest of the show. So I would just invite viewers to call our office if they have if they're considering leasing. We're happy to get them information.
Fantastic. So buying a new car is not for everyone. So let's move on to buying a used car. Lisa, you have several tips, starting with the fact that there is no lemon law in the state of Vermont regarding the buying of a used car.
That's correct. In Vermont currently, there is a lemon law for new vehicles only. And so that's a really important message because we do get calls from Vermonters who have purchased a used car and they're curious if they qualify for the lemon law. So there is no lemon law for used cars in Vermont.
So buyer beware.
Yes.
So what's one of the most important steps for any consumer who's thinking of buying a used car?
Right. Again, we want you to get your financing in place before you go shopping. Know what you can afford, and as well as do your research on the value of the car you're considering. There are some trusted resources out there. There is Kelley Blue Book. There is the NADA, there's Edmunds, and again, you can always call our office if you're interested in finding out any information about a dealer that you're thinking about doing business with.
And then there's that last step that we definitely need to take.
Oh, the last step. I know. How could I? I didn't forget. The last step is take that used vehicle. If the dealer is willing, not willing, you as a consumer can ask the dealer that you're considering buying the used car from to take the car to an independent mechanic and have it reviewed. Put it on the lift, make sure there's no rust, and spend that little extra money to get that that inspection, that evaluation before you buy the used car.
Great. And then you can maybe even negotiate something different if you find
Right.
something or whatever.
Absolutely.
So earlier you mentioned a few websites like the Kelley Blue Book, but shouldn't consumers be careful if they're looking at these things online?
Yes, I think, there are some trusted resources. So know the resources you're going to, call our office with questions. But the Kelley Blue Book, this is an interesting story. It was, it's been around since early 1900s. It's a real trusted source for looking at the value and price of a used car.
And you also talked about NADA and cars.com. Are those other two also trusted pretty much?
Yes, and Edmunds is another one as well.
Okay, great. And when it comes to buying a used car, the Vermont Attorney General's has a free comprehensive buying guide that's online. So tell us about that and how to get our hands on it.
Okay. Yes. So thank you for pointing this out. So we do have a guide. It's available online. You'll see right there the link. That is bit.ly/37MDQCQ. Okay. If you didn't have time to write that down, call our office at 1-800-649-2424. We're happy to mail you one of those guides or get you connected to the online version.
Okay, why don't we just go back to that slide, see it one more time, and
Sure.
you give the number, because I think these are so important and so helpful for people.
Absolutely. So again, this is available online. Feel free to call our office at 1-800-649-2424, and we're happy to mail you a booklet if that's helpful, or again, make sure you get connected to the online version.
Awesome, the hot pursuit, I love that. So, any other tips about buying a used car?
One final comment is when you're buying a used car, as I mentioned earlier, there is no lemon law for used cars. So take a look at the buyer's guide. There should be a buyer's guide that is given to you when you purchase a used car. There's two choices. Either you're buying that car as is, which means there's no warranty. You drive off that lot, that car and all its problems are yours, or there is a warranty, a dealer warranty. There may also be an extended warranty offered, and that's a separate issue and is separate from the dealer. So really know if you are buying a car as is or with a warranty.
When would you recommend buying for warranty? How do you make that decision? Because that's, more money, but when would you want warranty, and when do you think you can just skip that?
Yeah, I really think it comes down to, again, that first step is getting pre-approved for financing. And the reality is, if somebody's financed for $3,000 for a vehicle, most likely that's going to be an as-is vehicle. If you're financed, you go to your local financial institution and you're pre-approved for $8,000, you might have a used car that is sold with a warranty.
Okay, awesome. And it might also depend on whether you're a decent mechanic yourself.
That's true.
And if a consumer is having problems, how do they contact you at the Consumer Assistance Program?
Sure. A couple ways to contact our office. Feel free to go to our website. We have an online form you can complete. We are happy to talk with you on the phone. We're staffed 5 days a week at 1-800-649-2424. and send us an email if you have a question as well.
Okay, awesome. And since we have another minute or two, what does Vermont's lemon law do for new car purchases? It's not available for used, but what does it do for new car purchasing?
Right. So the lemon law is specific to new cars, and there are certain criteria. So your car needs to be at a service for 30 more days, or you have an issue and 3 repair attempts on the same issue that's not successful. There's some really, really good information at the Vermont Department of Motor Vehicle. There is a lemon law arbitration board that's separate from our office, and that is the office where a consumer would call if they want to know if they might be eligible for the lemon law. And again, there's really detailed information at the Vermont Department of Motor Vehicles website as well.
Terrific. And finally, I want to circle back around, since we have a minute, to leasing. So just in a very general terms, who should even think about leasing and who should not? Is it just for businesses? Do individuals also find leasing a good option?
Yeah, leasing is a good option for some people. I think for someone that is looking not to have a I don't have a down payment for a vehicle. I know I'm going to be driving just locally, so I'm not going to go above the mileage limit that happens when you buy a leased vehicle. So it's really an individual decision, depending upon the person's, the person's life and sort of what their needs are.
Okay. Well, Lisa Jensen, thank you so much for taking us through this quagmire of buying a car, whether it's a new or used car. Always very good information from you guys.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. Hope to see you again next month.
All right. Terrific. Thank you. And thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.